All right, we are ready for list number 7 of our literary term review. Today, symbol, synecdoche, syntax, theme, and tone. So here we go. On your mark, get set, review. Most of us have heard the word symbol before. We know that it is when one thing stands for or represents something else. So like in life in general, like a dove could stand for peace, a white flag could stand for surrender. But in literature, right, we know that in certain books, novels, short stories, that kind of thing, that there are items that represent sometimes an idea, sometimes a concept, or something else in the novel or in life. And that's what we're looking for when we try to identify a symbol. One of the reasons Lord of the Flies is so popular to teach in schools is because it's a treasure trove of symbols and it is a great way to teach symbolism, right? Because you have Piggy's glasses, they stand for technology or advancement. The conch stands for power or authority. The island stands for like a paradise, and then it becomes a paradise lost. So symbols are throughout that book. So synecdoche, besides being kind of hard to say, is a literary device where you can use part of something to represent the whole, or the whole of something can represent a part. It's different than metonymy because people often get those confused, because metonymy is using something closely related to something to represent it, but it's not necessarily a part of it. So that's how you can distinguish the two. So an example of synecdoche might be like, I got to go pick up my wheels from the shop. Well, wheels is part of your car, and you're really meaning your entire car. You're just not going to go pick up the tires, right? You could say, the hand that carved that statue had a lot of talent. You're obviously referring to the sculptor, but you used the word hand as a representative part to a whole. So while syntax may be more of a grammatical construct or terminology, it's pretty key in the development of literature, poems or short stories, novels, whatever, and it's closely tied to diction. But whereas diction refers to word choice in a particular situation and the reasons behind those word choices, syntax more has to do with the structure of the sentences, how those word choices are put together to form complete or complex thoughts. While perhaps an example won't be the best way to go about understanding syntax, it's more important to kind of look behind the scenes and realize that the way the author kind of constructs his or her syntax kind of determines the complexity or the sophistication of the text that you're reading. So if you're trying to develop a young character, you're going to want to have less complicated, more simple syntax in your writing versus wanting to perhaps come across to a more sophisticated or erudite audience. You want to have more complicated or rich syntax. A theme is something that usually we're pretty familiar with as well, because when we approach a short story or a novel, we want to try to understand the themes of the novel. In other words, what's the underlying ideas or message or concept? What is this book or short story really about? That's why we want to get to the theme of those things, so we can kind of try to see what the author is trying to come across and teach us, or what he wants or she wants us to pull from the reading. So you just think about some of the more popular books. Let's just go back to Lord of the Flies, right? Part of the theme of Lord of the Flies is this idea of being civilized or becoming civilized, descent into savagery. These are the kinds of themes that we're looking at, the basic darkness of man's heart. To Kill a Mockingbird might be compassion or understanding as a theme, or learning to understand others, see things from their points of view, could be one of the themes in that novel. So the tone is sometimes a little harder for us to grapple with. We can understand mood, the feelings that come from reading a passage, but tone is more subtle. It's the author's approach or attitude towards a subject matter, right? Now, we can understand someone's tone in our normal conversations with them. If they have a sarcastic tone, we normally can pick up on that. If they are cheerful in their tone, we can pick up on that. It's a little more difficult when we get into a novel or a short story, or sometimes even a poem, because especially in a work of fiction, we might not necessarily obviously know the author's attitude when he approaches it. So it's this idea of trying to understand, where is this author coming from? The tone can help set the mood, if that helps clarify some. You have it. We're done now, just having covered symbols, synecdoche, syntax, theme, and tone. Hopefully you'll be able to recognize these words when you jump into a piece of literature. Until next time, thanks for watching.